Hey everybody, and welcome back to Occult Perspectives. Kind of a rainy morning afternoon today. As you can see, I'm doing another video in my car on the way to work. It just so happens that with my work schedule this week, this happens to be the easiest way for me to be able to do a video, probably before the New Year's. I might still get one in before New Year's comes around. But yeah, I'm basically just gonna, on my way to work, do this video, see how it goes. If I like it, I'll post it. I just wanted to talk on two different topics today. The first one, I actually wanted to cover some Elder Scrolls lore. For those of you who have played the Elder Scrolls games, the three main ones, Elder Scrolls 3, 4, and 5, are Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim. And in my opinion, the Elder Scrolls series has better lore, more occult, esoteric, and deep lore than almost any other series of anything I've ever read or watched. Like Star Wars has incredible lore, especially when you study like the Jedi and the Sith and the deeper levels of those things. Another good one is Lord of the Rings. J.R.R. Tolkien is a master. He might be the only other one that's really come close to the Elder Scrolls, but the Elder Scrolls is a very deep and esoteric series. It even gets so deep with the lore that when you're playing the game, there's these books you can pick up and read them as you're playing the game. And gosh, there's like hundreds of books within each of the games that you can read. Some of them are a little less crucial than other books that you pick up during the quests. But some of them have really deep lore, like the people who made those games. And you have to take into account that, I don't know if it's still Bethesda that does the Elder Scrolls series, but Bethesda used to help make them. And Bethesda is like a lake in the Bible or something, so even in that company name, you already have some deep, lore within the name itself for one of the companies. But going forward, I figured this was something I didn't really need to take a whole bunch of notes on. I could do it, in a shorter video on my way to work. And I just wanted to touch on some of the more occult aspects of these video games. If you want to learn more about Morrowind lore, not just Morrowind lore, the Elder Scrolls lore in general, the whole universe, go and check out, I think his name is Shoddycast, is his YouTube channel. He's the one I've seen who does like the best overall lore for the Elder Scrolls, because he has an entire series and he presents all the information in a very straightforward, linear manner. He organized it really well. So I recommend that dude if this is of interest to you, because I probably won't be talking about video game lore a whole lot more on this channel. I've done some Zelda videos that really haven't gotten as much play as like some of my other videos, like when I review books and when I talk about masonry and ceremonial magic and all that stuff. That seems to be where my target audience is, so I'm going to try to keep it to those things. But yeah, the Elder Scrolls, if we look at the Elder Scrolls 3, Morrowind, in my opinion, it has the way the game plays is pretty awful as far as the combat goes. It's one of the worst games as far as combat. I'm not even going to get into the details of why it's so terrible. Those of you who have played it would surely know. But the story of Morrowind, I think, is even a little bit deeper than Oblivion and Skyrim. A lot of the details, and you start getting into like studying the three great houses and the Ashlander tribes in more depth. Even in the main quest of the game, if you read all the books and the extra notes and stuff, you'll get a lot more that goes along with the story, a lot more pieces to the puzzle. So the main quest of Morrowind, which is why I kind of wanted to talk about it, is very much about this savior warrior, this savior god, so to speak. Your character, spoiler alert for anybody who wants to play these games, but your character in Morrowind ends up being the reincarnated version of the hero Nerevar. He's the reincarnation of Nerevar, who worked with these tribunal gods, and it gets pretty deep and stuff. I'm going to try to go one step at a time. So there's the temple in Morrowind, and they basically run like all the religious stuff. It would be like the equivalent of, like, in modern day, I guess, like the Roman Catholic Church, like, would be the equivalent of this temple. You know, they're very politically involved. And this return of this Nerevarine, you know, it almost has overtones of like a Christ type thing. The reincarnation, you know, manifesting here in the physical realm as a warrior, the savior god story that we hear over and over and over, like Osiris, like all these savior gods being born on the 25th of December, Mithra, you know, there's so many different ones. This whole Nerevar thing is very, it's very similar to a lot of these savior god stories. And so your character, it turns out that the Emperor actually is working with his spies and stuff he finds out that your character fits the needs of the prophecies for this Nerevarine to be reincarnated, and he thinks that you are the one. So you're actually just a prisoner born to uncertain parents on an uncertain day, which goes in line with the virgin birth. And I've seen this common theme in like TV shows now and video games. It's all about this. There's a new show on Amazon Prime. I tried to get into it, The Wheel of Time. It talks at the very beginning, at the prologue or whatever, it shows like, this child born to unknown parents on an unknown day or something like that. The fixed stars, it's all about the stars being in the, born under a certain sign. All this stuff is reminiscent of like Jesus, the wise men following the star to Bethlehem and all this type of stuff. Rings very clear in the people who wrote Morrowind. So you have this reincarnated version of Nerevar, which is known as the Nerevarine, and he has to prove himself through the Ashlander tribes. He has to be called Nerevarine from the 4 tribes, and then the 3 great houses, which are Redoran, Hlelu, and Telvanni, and you have to become Hortator, which is known as like war leader of these 3 houses. 4 plus 3 equals 7. So there's a lot of like numerological significances in the game as well. So that kind of covers the Nerevarine part. He's basically being reincarnated to come and cleanse the land. He's like the chosen one. He's like this savior messiah that all these Ashlander tribes and people, the more primitive peoples, that have kept the old traditions and the old stories and stuff, are talking about this Nerevarine who is to come. And so they've been awaiting his arrival, so to speak. Some of the tribes are a little more friendly to the idea, especially since you're an Outlander. You don't come from Morrowind. Your character comes from another. He's from somewhere else, essentially. And so a lot of the tribes people are against that idea at first. But once you prove to yourself, that you're the Nerevarine, you're given these tools, and I think it's pronounced Kagnarak's tools, which you use to defeat the 6th house, and their symbolism and being the 6th house. It's not the 7th house. It's reminiscent of like 666, the carnal number. It's not a coincidence that they chose the 6th house to represent, the cult of Dagoth-Ur. That's like the dark ones, the betrayer. There's always the betrayer, like the Judas in the story. Well, the tribunal basically worships these 3 gods, which are not really gods. They're like demigods, because they're not the ultimate source. They're actually these people who like run the cities and stuff in the game. It's Vivek, Alexamalia, and Sothasil. Vivek's the one you really interact with in the main quest, and he's up in his tower. He's like an elfish being. Like he's very powerful, but you can actually kill him. These gods are mortal, so they're not gods. They're just very powerful beings. But they were supposed to help Nerevar, the old hero, basically look after these tools, and Dagoth-Ur basically went behind Nerevar's back and corrupted the tools. He used them to make himself more powerful. Some weird bond between the Heart of Lorkhan, which exists like in Red Mountain, which is in the middle of where Morrowind takes place. Where was I going with that? Just lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, Dagoth-Ur connects himself to the Heart of Lorcan, and there's like more lore on that and stuff. But basically, how these false gods, they elongated their lives by using these tools, these corrupted tools. They used them just enough so that they weren't totally corrupted like Dagoth-Ur was, but they end up becoming strong, really hard to kill. So the society ends up worshiping them as actual gods, which is, of course, a huge mistake. And then once people find out that they've been using the tools incorrectly, to keep themselves immortal, essentially. There's lots of stories of that in real life, too. People prolonging their life by, sucking the life force and energy, vampirism, essentially, from other things. So before I jump on to the next game, Oblivion, which is Elder Scrolls 4, I'll just cover that one really quickly, because I don't have too much of a drive left here, maybe another 10-15 minutes or so. So the return of this Nerevarine as well, anyone who believes in this is considered a heretic. It was similar to when Jesus came, in the Bible, and all the Jews were like, no, this can't be the Messiah, It's the same kind of deal in this story, and he's against just like Jesus was against the politics, the banking system of the time, and the monetary system. It's the same, So the temple basically sees anyone who believes in this Nerevarine, this reincarnated Nerevar, as an enemy and a heretic. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting story elements that go into the Elder Scrolls. There's Aedra and Daedra, which are basically like the equivalent of angels and demons. And then there's other beings which are involved, like Akatosh, which are involved in the creation story of the Elder Scrolls. It gets a little deeper into the lore there. I'm not going to go into that because there's people who have covered that stuff so well. And even if you don't end up playing the Elder Scrolls, I highly recommend that you at least look up videos on lore, and stuff like that. I think you would find it beneficial, for your own understandings and studies of real occult stuff, because the people who made the stories, they really understand. They definitely study the Kabbalah or some other mystical tradition to get to the level of understanding that it takes to write a story like that. So if we move on to the next game, Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion is very much just about like the Emperor. Essentially, he somehow uses some pendant. It's been a while since I've played the main quest of Oblivion, but there's all these portals essentially to Hell or Oblivion, which is where the Daedra rule, the demons, and they end up coming through to the other side. And the game takes place in the capital of Tamriel, which is Cyrodiil. That's like where the Imperials are. They're the ones who, the Empire is controlled basically by them. It's the capital of the whole continent, is where this game takes place. And you have to go through these portals and basically stop the Oblivion crisis, stop the Oblivion attacks. I think the Emperor, spoiler alert, at the end of Elder Scrolls 4 ends up turning into like a huge dragon or something, I remember. And that's how he's able to destroy like the giant Daedra. I think it's Mehrunes Dagon that comes through the portal at the end of the main quest in Oblivion. He's one of the Daedric princes. There are many Daedric princes, and some of them, the title prince is misleading because some of them are females too. Like Azura is actually a benevolent Daedric prince, but she's personified as a woman, Angels and demons, like personifications of our own higher selves, but they also are like egregoric entities that take on their own consciousness as well. So it's like this dualistic thing going on. And then I'll go ahead and jump to the Elder Scrolls 5, Skyrim. Has a pretty good story. You're what's called the Dragonborn. You have the ability to use the shout, the word. It's like the logos, the primordial word. And in ritual magic, sacred god names and such, you'll see very much correlation to the dragon shouts in Skyrim. And there's lots of cool dragon shouts you can learn. They even created like a dragon language, like to use in Skyrim, so it's very much like how J.R.R. Tolkien created the Elven language and other languages in his universe. For Skyrim, they did the same thing with the dragon language. So you're this Dragonborn, which is, it's been told of tales of old, and there have been other Dragonborns in the past. There's a quest called Dragonborn, which is an add-on to Skyrim, which you fight Mirok, or however you say it. He was one of the like original Dragonborns. But basically anyone who is imbued with this power, and a lot of the emperors are a part of a bloodline which is called, I think they have the dragon blood or whatever, so it might skip generations and stuff, but a lot of them have that ability to use the shouts, the dragon shouts. And you end up meeting with these elders, which are called the Greybeards, on top of the mountain, in the middle of the world. It's called the Throat of the World. And they're very reminiscent of like the Druids, basically, or the old ancient priesthood. You always got that, in the stories and stuff. And they teach you how to, control your shouts. They teach you new shouts. They teach you moral lessons to go along with this great power that you have. It's like essentially a little mystery school they've got going on top of this mountain. And then you find out that there's an actual hidden leader of these gurus on the mountain, and this leader is a dragon called Parthenax, and he was actually an enemy in the Elden days, the Elder days. You end up learning on, and he actually worked with Alduin, which is the evil dragon in the game, and he's known as like the World Eater or the World Slayer or something like that. Basically the thing which comes to consume everything at the end of time. There's a lot of Kabbalistic references to like the dragons, the red dragon and stuff, and that could be analogous as well to this Alduin from Skyrim. So that's just some little tidbits of cool occult information in the Elder Scrolls games. Just me jumping around real quick as I'm sitting here on my drive kind of thinking about what are cool little points and stuff in those games. So I think that covers that. That gives you a good introduction to some pretty cool occult pointers. And then the other thing I just wanted to say is New Year's is coming up, so this is just a really good time to, as I said in my last video, move forward and stuff. And I want to bring back to your minds, and we haven't covered it yet. We talked about it a little bit in some of the Dante videos, in one or two of them, but Mount Purgatory, when Dante starts to ascend Mount Purgatory, he can't look back. When he's about to cleanse himself of his sins, and he's about to make that transference to heaven, he's going to travel to heaven and go through paradise. That's what Paradiso is all about. He can't look back. And I think as we go into the new year, that's an important theme for us. Let go of all the hardships and the things that have gotten you down in the past. And remember that memory is not only up here. We've talked about before, it exists in the body as well. We hold a lot of memory in our body. And if we tend to hold on to things and not let them go, it actually causes physical pain in the body. I think a lot of what's wrong with people is not really medical conditions. It's really like traumas and darkness and things we haven't worked through, we haven't accepted, and we haven't like forgiven ourselves for completely and fully integrated. So if we do these things and we move forward into the new year, we cannot err. As long as we have Source on our side and we strive to do right, we will be good. This is a fresh new beginning for everyone, and I'm so super excited. This is going to be a great year. I'm really excited for 2022. I think I'm going to go ahead and jump off of here for now, guys. It was great being able to do a real quick video. I hope you enjoy this. Give this video a like. Go ahead and subscribe to the page. And hopefully soon I will be covering some more ceremonial magic stuff and some Masonic stuff. I think I'm going to jump back into morals and dogma next, possibly. So take care, everybody. Peace and blessings. Love you all. Stay safe. Happy New Year.